Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another modern deck tech. So today, we're going to be talking about Dragon Ponza. I'm really excited to bring this list to you. Before we hop into it here, as always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you like about the list? What do you hate about the list? What would you change? And as always, if there's any suggestions that you have, just let me know in the comment section below, and it'll be considered for a future deck tech. So, a little bit of backstory. So, I have played a lot of Ponza decks over the years. It was kind of the deck I was known for the most part in Modern, and obviously for those who follow the channel, I love dragons. Obviously, it's like my favorite creature type in the game. So why don't we take Ponza and dragons and we just kind of throw it all together? So that's kind of the deck here. Overall, I think it's pretty solid in terms of power level. You know, you could definitely take this to an F&M and you could do pretty well with it. But we're going to hop right into it here. We're going to start with our 1-drops. We're playing 4 Arbor Elves, 4 Utopia Sprawls, and 4 Lightning Bolts. So Arbor Elf is a 1/1 for 1 Elf Druid. We can tap it to untap target forest. Obviously a really good mana dork, especially with Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl is a 1 green enchantment, enchant forest. As Utopia Sprawl comes into play, choose a color. Whenever Enchanted Forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of the chosen color to his or her mana pool. So Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl work really well together, because if we go turn 1 Arbor Elf, turn 2 we can play a green source and play an Utopia Sprawl onto a forest, and then that way we can tap the forest for, you know, the 1 and the chosen color, which most of the time is red. Then we can use the Arbor Elf to untap it. So we can have 4 mana on turn 2 with Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl. So both fantastic cards in genre. They help ramp us. Utopia Sprawl is always the safer play to play on turn 1. But if you really want to go explosive, you can go Arbor Elf maybe into Utopia Sprawl. Really, really good. Then we're playing 4 Lightning Bolts. Staple removal spell. It's player removal and it's creature removal. It's planeswalker removal. Technically even battle removal to a certain extent. Not that we're playing any battles today, spoiler alert, but it is 1 red instant. Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to target creature or player, or, as we know today, any target. So Lightning Bolt, obviously fantastic. Kills a bunch of small creatures, kills Darcy's, it kills Ragavans. It really just does everything we need it to do. So, those are our 1-drops. We're going to hop into our 2s and 3s. We're playing 2 Ren and 6. 3 loyalty, red-green, legendary planeswalker Ren. We can give it a loyalty to return up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. Spoiler alert, we're playing some fetches in here, so obviously really, really good with all of our fetch lands. -1, Ren and 6 deals 1 damage to any target. Obviously really, really good against decks that play like turn 1 Ragavan. We can kill turn 1 Darcy's. That's kind of the main reason that we want the Ren and 6, at least for the -1 side of it. Just a good card in general. Well, just a good ability. Then we're playing, oh my goodness, geez, I'm losing it today. -7 with Ren and 6. You get an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard have retrace, which means we can discard a land and then we can cast it from our graveyard, obviously for its regular cost. So, not that we're going to be doing that a lot, but obviously, you know, repetitive lightning bolts is a thing, or repetitive pillages, which is our next card on our list here. It's pillages, 1 red for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact or land. It can't be regenerated. Obviously, a really great land destruction spell. We can also hit an artifact in a pinch, which is kind of nice. You know, sometimes we'll hit like an ensnaring bridge for the most part. Sometimes hit like a shadow spear off of Urza Saga, that kind of thing. So pillage, just a really, really good card in general. I decided to play pillage over Molten Rain. For those who want to go a little more aggro, we could play Molten Rain in the list, and honestly, that would be just fine as well. Then we're playing 4 Blood Moon. What's a Ponza deck without Blood Moon? 2 and a red enchantment. Non-basic lands are mountains. Just a really, really great card in general. Obviously, punishing our opponent's mana base with the Blood Moon is fantastic. You know, if we're really lucky and we get to play it on turn 2, which honestly isn't that unrealistic, it is even better. So, Blood Moon, 4 of, it's a staple card in general. So next, we're going to hop into some of our couple 3-drops, and then Fury, which is kind of not really a 3-drop, but I decided to wrap up our non-dragon creatures and just put it in here. So Klothys, God of Destiny, 4/5 for 1 red-green, legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Klothys isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, add red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and Klothys deals 2 damage to each opponent. So, obviously really, really good. It's good against decks that want to fill up their graveyard, so it's good against Murktide, especially if we get to play it on turn 2. It's fantastic, which is obviously a really good effect for us overall. It also gains us life and deals damage to our opponent. So either way, it's a really, really good card. So next, we are playing 3 Furies. It's a 3/3 for 3 red, elemental incarnation with double strike. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers, or we can evoke it, exile a red card from our hand, which means instead of paying 3 red, we can pay 0 mana and exile a red card from our hand. So most of the time it's a 0 mana, divide 4 damage. Fury, absolutely fantastic card. For those who play a lot of Modern, they know how good Fury is. For 0 mana, being able to destroy creatures or planeswalkers is obviously incredible effect. In this deck, we're going to cast them actually a decent amount. We are going up to like 5 mana. So Fury's definitely, once we hit like turn 3, turn 4, don't be surprised if you end up actually casting Furies for the regular cost in a deck like this. But Fury, fantastic Magic card. Then we are playing 3 Sarkhan Fireblood. 3 loyalty for 1 red, legendary planeswalker Sarkhan. We can +1, we can discard a card. If we do, draw a card. Obviously a really good effect. When I think of Sarkhan Fireblood for the Dragon deck, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Seasoned Pyromancer, where you're discarding and drawing more cards. Sarkhan is obviously great. If we have like land destruction, like the pillages late game, if they're not good, we discard them. We discard, extra dorks that we draw. We discard extra blood moons we don't need. Get rid of the Shash to turn it into a new card. We can also add a loyalty to add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells. Obviously really good for all of our dragons that are going to be on the next slide. Then -7, create 4/5/5 red dragon creature tokens with flying. So pretty good emblem overall at that point. I mean, unless our opponent is playing like Supreme Verdict or something like that, it's, hey, we get 4/5/5s with flying. Show me what you got, because you are going to die. So I really like Sarkhan in this list. Just a really cool card in general that really doesn't see a lot of play. So, but anyways, we're going to hop into our next slide here, because obviously that's what everybody's here for. We're here for the dragons. We're playing 4 Thunderbreak Regent, 2 red, 4/4 dragon with flying. Whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, Thunderbreak Regent deals 3 damage to that player. So Thunderbreak Regent, obviously fantastic card. It's a 4/4 for 4 flyer, which is pretty good stats. If our opponent targets any of our dragons, they take 3 damage. So obviously, if they Fury our Thunderbreak Regent, they're at least taking 3 damage in addition to just having to exile a card from their hand, which, don't underestimate the Thunderbreak Regent being able to slowly peck at players. That 3 damage can be pretty relevant sometimes, especially when you play double Thunderbreak Regent. If we have 2 Thunderbreak Regents in and our opponent wants to Fury our creature, they're going to be taking 6 damage because that effect does stack. So Thunderbreak Regent, absolutely fantastic card. Then we're playing 2 Stormbreath Dragon. It's a 4/4 for 3 red, a creature with dragon, flying, haste, protection from white. Then it has monstrosity 3 for 5 red, which means if it isn't monstrous, put 3/1 counters on it and it becomes monstrous. And when it becomes monstrous, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. So we're not going to be doing the monstrous ability a lot. The reason we're playing it is the protection from white, at least in the metagame, with a lot of the 4-color piles or blue-white control decks, they're playing a lot of solitudes. Obviously, we're able to dodge solitude, which is really big for us overall. That's pretty much the main reason we're playing the Stormbreath Dragons, is just because of the protection from white. In your local metagame, if there's not a lot of white in your metagame, I would probably consider switching over to Glorybringer, just because obviously if there's no protection, if you don't need the Pearl White in your metagame, switch it up. Even if maybe if you want to play Goldspan Dragon, I do highly recommend personally playing Glorybringer in that slot, but Goldspan Dragon is still perfectly fine. But however, I would say the next one is a staple of the deck. So 4 Thundermaw Hellkites, my personal favorite card that is in Modern. So there's a couple reasons why I think Thundermaw Hellkite is the best dragon to be playing in this slot. I know Thundermaw Hellkite has been largely irrelevant for the last, 5-6 years, mostly because of cards like Path to Exile, Glorybringer being able to destroy creatures, but I think there's a couple reasons why I think Thundermaw Hellkite is the best to be playing in the slot. So I think the biggest reason above all is it survives Fury by itself. So obviously Stormbreath Dragon, Glorybringer, Goldspan Dragon, they all die to Fury one-on-one. Thundermaw Hellkite having that 1 extra toughness can be very relevant. Yes, obviously there's going to be those situations where, they go Fury and then bolt it, but honestly, that's fine. That means they use 3 cards just to take care of our Thundermaw Hellkite. They're losing a card from hand, a Bull, and their Fury. So that's a 3-for-1, which honestly is a pretty darn good rate overall. The second reason being, it's just bigger. It's bigger. That 5 damage can be really relevant. If we go Thundermaw Hellkite on like turn 3 or 4, followed up with another one, that's 15 damage right there, which honestly, most of the time, all that is that's 2 shot, it's taking 2 from 2 different shocklands and a fetch. That's all it is. We can just get 2 attacks in with our 1 Thundermaw Hellkite and then 1 with the next one that we play, which can be very, very relevant. So a lot of the main reason is that it survives Fury, which obviously that's a pretty big reason for us. It could be dependent on your metagame, though. For instance, if there's a lot of white in your metagame, like we talked about with Stormbreath Dragon, I would play a couple more. Maybe even consider playing 4 Stormbreath Dragons if there's a lot of Solitudes in your metagame. Based on how I think the whole metagame is as a whole with Modern, I think Thundermaw Hellkite is the best option to be playing. In addition, which this is something I forgot about, that 1 damage to each creature with flying can be incredibly relevant with Murktide Regent. Murktide Regent obviously comes down, it's a really, really big dragon, comes down bigger than Thundermaw Hellkite and Stormbreath Dragon most of the time. In Thundermaw Hellkite, we're able to push that dragon aside, tap it down, and we get in that damage. So that's the other reason we're playing Thundermaw Hellkite. I almost forgot to mention that. So anyways, these are the dragons that we are playing. We're going to go and hop into the lands here, and then we'll be talking about our sideboard. So we are playing 1 Shatterskull Smashing. I do consider this as a land because most of the time, we're going to be playing it on the flip side. We can pay 3 life to have it untapped as a red source, but Shatterskull Smashing is red X sorcery, deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, Shatterskull Smashing deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. Just a really, really great card in general. Obviously, if we need to play it as a land, we play it untapped. If we don't need it as a land, we can, deal some damage to some different permanents. Just a good flex card to be playing in general. Then we're playing 3 Stomping Ground, obviously just a staple land of the format. I decided to also include the cool dragon one. So bonus points if you build the deck and you play these Stomping Grounds. They're very, very cool. And it's a quote from Stark, the Hunt Caller, one of my personal favorite cards. Then we're playing 1 Cavern of Souls, a really good card to be playing in a tribal deck like this. We're just playing 1 because, we do need the green pips for Utopia Sprawl. Not green pips, but we need the forests. So, we don't want to go too heavy. We're playing a lot of double red spells. So Cavern of Souls can be a little awkward sometimes, but that's why we're just playing 1 copy specifically. Next, we are playing 4 Wooded Foothills and 4 Windswept Heaths, in addition to the 1 Verdant Catacombs. Their fetch lands, really enough said. We're playing them with red and 6, so they're really, really good, as well as with Klothys, we're able to exile our own lands if our opponent doesn't have any in their graveyard, so we can go ahead and make mana from those. So, staple lands in general. Wooded Foothills is really the only one that matters so much. The Windswept Heath and the Verdant Catacombs, I suggest playing 5 other fetch lands in addition to the Wooded Foothills. You can play any combination of them, though. I know Windswept Heaths are a little bit pricier now because they haven't been reprinted in a while. If you have 4 Verdant Catacombs and 2 Misties, or 3 Misties and 2 Verdant Catacombs, that's perfectly fine. Just play 5 green fetches. I would try to stay away from Prismatic Vista, personally, because obviously they can't grab a shockland, but any combination of green fetches is perfectly fine. Heck, even if you have a red, if you only have an extra red shockland, if you have an extra Scalding Tarn or whatever, that's perfectly fine to play just 1. Just mention that I would play 9 fetches. Wooded Foothills, obviously the most important of the bunch. Then we were playing 1 Boseiju and 1 Sukenzen. Obviously really, really good legendary flex lands to be playing. Obviously also work really, really well with Wrenn and 6 if we ever get to that part of the game. We can obviously channel them away, grab them back with Wrenn and 6, channel them again if we've got the mana, or just keep doing that continuously with the Wrenn and 6. So overall, great lands to be playing with our Wrenn and 6, and they're just great flex lands in general. Then we're playing 5 forests and 1 mountain as our basics. So I always like to play the special spicy land of the day. I decided to pick these Zendikar lands because these are the original ones that Brian Kibler used actually in the 2013 Magic Championships and was playing Thundermaw Hellkite in the list. So I decided to use Brian Kibler's same lands that he likes to play, at least that he used in that event. So a little bit of cool trivia for you. Well, that is all of our lands. We are going to hop into our sideboard here, and then we're going to be all set. So we're playing 2 Chalice of the Void. It's XX Artifact. Enters the battlefield with X charge counters on it. Whenever a player casts a spell with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Chalice of the Void, counter that spell. So, a couple reasons we're playing the Chalice. Main reason is for all of these 0 mana shenanigans, like Crashing Footfalls, which is kind of the main reason, but also Living End it's really good against. We can even play Chalice on 1 against some decks, like if we're playing against Murktide, Chalice on 1 is pretty good against them. It can hurt us, though, if you do play Chalice on 1. Just keep that in mind, if we have any more Arbor Elves or Toby Sprawls or Lightning Bolts, they will get countered with our own Chalice of the Void, and we don't want to cheat, obviously, so just keep that in mind. We're also playing 2 Trinispheres, 3 mana artifact. As long as Trinisphere is untapped, each spell that would cost less than 3 mana to play costs 3 mana to play, and then it kind of gives an example right there below in the text. So Trinisphere, obviously really good against the decks that I mentioned. Also, like if you're playing against like Gift Storm, if they happen to be doing that, really any deck that plays a lot of spells that cost less than 3 mana, it's really, really good to bring it in against them. Then we're playing 2 Dead and Gone. I know it's not the right way to be able to read it, but we can pay 1 red for an instant to deal 2 damage to target creature, or Gone, 2 in a red instant, return target creature you don't control to its owner's hand. This is really good against Murktide Regent the Murktide Regent deck, because we can either bounce Murktide Regent with Gone, or obviously we can do the 2 damage to the Darcy or the Ragavan. It's good against Rhinos because we can bounce the Rhinos back to their hand. Dead and Gone, just a really, really good flex card overall in the deck. Then we are playing 3 Endurance, 1 green, 3/4 with Flash and Reach. It's an elemental incarnation. When it enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player puts all the cards from their graveyard on the bottom of their library in a random order. Obviously good against a lot of the decks that are looking to fill up their graveyard. Don't be afraid to be a little aggressive with this too against Murktide Regent. If they've got a whole graveyard filled up and a couple cards in hand, get rid of that graveyard. Don't let them be able to cast the Murktide Regent and get really big, because ultimately with this deck, we are trying to not let that card hit the battlefield overall. I also forgot to mention that we can cast it for the evoke cost by exiling a green card from our hand, so we can pay 0 mana essentially for the Endurance. Really, really great card for an obvious reason. It's one of the most expensive cards in the entire deck. Then we're playing 3 Veil of Summer, 1 green instant. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. Obviously pretty much good to bring in against any blue or black deck. Obviously it's like an anti-counter spell. It can be a protection spell against blue or black. Just overall, Veil of Summer is an incredibly efficient card. There's a reason why it's banned in Pioneer. Finishing out our sideboard, we are playing 1 Beast Within, 2 in a green instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller puts a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Obviously, Beast Within answers any problematic permanent. Blows up a land, an artifact, enchantment, a battle, a creature, whatever. It gets rid of whatever we need. They do get a 3/3 consolation prize from that, but obviously most of the time it's better to destroy their permanent instead of like letting it have a Murktide or a Tron land or what have you. Just awesome card. I love Beast Within. I like to play 1 to 2 in all my Ponza decks. Then we are playing 2 Force of Vigor, 2 green instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Obviously fantastic for 0 mana. We're able to blow up artifacts or enchantments. Any problematic artifact or enchantment you're playing against, bring this in. Bring it against Amulet Titan. If your opponent's playing Affinity, if they're playing like Urza Saga shenanigans, you want to blow up some artifacts or enchantments, you can bring that into. Force of Vigor, just a fantastic card in general. Obviously one of the best green sideboard cards in the entire metagame. So that is the entire deck here. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this episode. I always love talking about Ponza. I haven't done a Ponza list in a while. I don't think this is actually the first modern Ponza list that I've done. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about the list? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you change? And as always, let me know in the comment section below if you've got a deck that you'd like to see featured on the channel here. Just let me know in the comment section below. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.